We're no different.
I like how you've got the laugh of, you got that same laugh you must have had when you were 10 years old. Anyone ever said that to you?
Yeah, I
It's,
get a lot of
it's
comments
like a,
about my laugh. They're like, "I think you're holding back. You're thinking about stuff you wanna say, but you're not saying it." I'm like, "Sometimes." It's more
yeah,
so
that's it.
it's this state of bliss that I'm in 24/7. You know, you can imagine being around the royal family as much as I am, it rubs off. So
Yeah.
they're beings of intense bliss, joy, and even terror. I carry some of that. I experience that 24/7. So for me, depression really isn't an option because I'm kind of drunk 24/7.
Man, so, a bit of a crash course in some of the terminology for, what do you call it? Heathen Aussie guy. Yeah, some people call me a heathen, I guess, because I'm uneducated. Um, Elohim. Can you tell us
Yeah.
more about that? What is the Elohim?
So in the Bible, let's go Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's a mistranslation. The word Elohim means gods, but it's gods, it's plural. Anything in Hebrew that ends with im or im, yod, mem is plural. So it's actually saying in the beginning the gods created the heavens and the earth, and then you read the rest of Genesis, that part of Genesis, and it feeds more into the plurality. And then the gods said, "Let us make man in our image." It goes even further. This is more than one entity talking. So Elohim just means gods. It refers to the royal family that truthfully you're in. So later on, you get to the New Testament, and Yeshua's getting in trouble because he's claiming to be the Son of God. And they're like, "That's blasphemy." He says, "Well, your scriptures say that ye are gods. Don't you know that ye are gods?" That word again is Elohim. He's saying the thing that you are is the thing that made the world itself. It's the same Elohim. Again, speaking to their eternal truth, the reality about them. This is why I don't call it a trinity, because again, if you have a mother, you have a father, we got an older brother, and then you, now that's four, me, that's five, and then there's all the other people that watch this. Well, that's a bunch more than three. It's just one big family, the plurality of gods.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me just look at my other questions here. Okay. Oh yeah, actually, this wasn't a question. What is your understanding of the uh, the root of the existence of everything?
All right. So in the beginning, there was the all. Everything that is, everything that could be, everything that would be, all in one. Eventually, that all separates itself into two: one positive, one negative, one masculine, one feminine. Eventually, those forces mix together again and somewhat create an offspring, which is kind of like the reemergence of the all over again. It's the micro all. From that all, everything else was made. Now, truthfully, this is also the Chinese creation story. This is Wuji, which would be the all, typically colored gray, separates itself into two: yin and yang. Yin being the feminine force, yang being the masculine force. That's mother and father. Well, they have a kid, yin and yang, or taiji is the other word. And it's from taiji that everything else comes from. That's the best way I could color creation. Is that we're all pieces of the all that's come again.
And what do you think is going on with humanity at the moment? We're going through big shift. There's people like yourself that are freely speaking about some pretty, I guess, radical ideas and concepts, and um, and yet we're kind of at the same time more under the thumb than ever at times. I don't feel that personally, but I know a lot of people feel like they really are under the thumb of, you know, more oppressive forces and don't have any personal power. What do you think's going on?
Yeah, so because of the age that we're in, right? And ages happen every a little bit over 2000 years. Um we've been in the age of Aquarius for about 14 years now. Aquarius is all about no longer being the fish going to school, but in the age where you become the one pouring out the water. It's an age dedicated towards immortality, revelation, and truth. No longer are these things being gatekept. So what was once private occult mysteries that few knew now becomes a thing that everyone gets to carry. It's no longer for the special few. Now this is just life. The ordinary man carries the mysteries of eternity itself. And what happens every time an age shifts, we go from one age to another. There's the end of an age. That's the end times people keep looking for. We're not actually in end times. We're at the beginning. 14 years into a beginning. I want to say going on 15. But in this, right, we have, this is why they call this age the age of information. Things that were once uncovered are now rising to the surface. The frequency of the age itself is now hospitable for a lot of these truths. And funny enough, the Bible actually mentions that. And of course, I have a lot of issues with the modern Bible, but it was pretty accurate on this. You have a verse where Yeshua is talking to his disciples and he says, "Hey, you'll know that the time has come when you see the man carrying water." Pretty much that's him saying this stuff isn't going to take over until the age of Aquarius, which we've only been in for about 14 years. So it's not like, oh no, his mission failed. It's like, no, he told you when it was supposed to happen. You go from seed to harvest. Sowed a seed, 2000 years, it's germinated, it's waited. Now we're here. And then you get weirdos like myself just popping up out of nowhere. It's like, what? This used to take people their whole lives of dedication, and you got it before you turned 20. I'm currently older than 20, but I was doing this stuff as a teenager. That's because the age itself feeds into it. The age itself is an uncovering. It's an apocalypse. It's really what apocalypse mean is the unveiling. It doesn't mean the end of the world. It just means things that were covered are now uncovered. So there's a bunch of manifestations of that. Crimes that have been committed in the dark now coming to the light. Atrocities that have been committed. Everyone, like all of that's in the spotlight now. Because of technology being around, it's harder to suppress information. So you're having people by standard talk about more things together just because we're not restricted by location or by publishing anymore. You know, it's much easier for information to travel. You know, let's say I come on YouTube one day and I say, hey, this is everything you need in order to fully awaken. But let's say our governments don't want us to awaken. So somehow they get my channel taken down. Well, with my channel being up for as long as it was, people had time to learn. People had time to download the video. Guess what? That information is stuck out there and there's nothing they could do about it. Just because of
Yeah.
the age that we're in. So creation itself is helping us out.
All right, I got one last question, which is probably the most commonly asked question that I ever get in the comments on my channel. And I don't read all the comments, but this is one that pops up a lot. And it's because one of my previous guests, Darius J. Wright, made a statement about how there is no judgment on the other side. And what he meant was that it doesn't matter what you may have done in this life, you're not actually going to be judged for that when you get there. So he's kind of pushing back against the idea that there is some sort of hell for those who've done bad